Hello everyone, this is Zeeebo and welcome to today's AFK journey video. So for today's AFK journey video, we're going to talk about the best free-to-play PvP teams for the normal arena side. So this is a heavily requested topic and I will be doing one for the Supreme Arena side really soon, and I'm thinking whether or not I should do it after Natsu or before we are able to sort of test Natsu, like base the meta off like pre-Natsu in general, because I think Shemira has been around for quite a bit. We are able to see how the meta has shifted, but with regards to Natsu, we might need a little bit more time to test, right, with regards to the kits itself. So we will see how, but stay tuned for the Supreme Arena one. Do remember to like and subscribe to see more. And for today's video, before we start, because the title is more of a free-to-play centric angle, we are going to recommend teams with only one, maximum of only 2 Celestial Hypogean characters, right? So there are some teams that are like 4 or 5 Celestial Hypogeans, and they are really strong because Celestial Hypogeans, they generically have more stats, because the Supreme plus Celestial Hypogean is equals to a Paragon 1 normal unit in the rivalry stats portion. So they are stats wise stronger, and obviously having more stats in the arena side is going to give you the advantage, having the higher tiers and having more rivalry stats in general. So do take note of that. Okay, so without further ado, let's start with talking about what are the meta units first. Like, what are the more powerful units in the current game, right? What are the units that you should build towards to be some of the strongest teams in the current meta? So starting off with the cores, we have Tasi being really annoying to deal with, having the ability to come back to life multiple times, having massive control, massive AoE damage, and also the ability to just buy time by, you know, staying in the middle of the battlefield to just take the time to revive in general. So this unit is one of, if not the strongest unit in the meta, because like she's just really hard to counter, and it is actually easy to build a lot of teams around her in the current meta. And then we have Athalia, one of the strongest carry in the game, one of the strongest Celestial Hypogean PvP wise. Her burst potential, her true damage potential, her anti-carry potential, as well as her ability to stick around on the battlefield makes her a menace to deal with, and she's currently, if not the strongest single unit. Like, if you want to build a team around one single unit, she is that one unit you build the team around, because like her burst potential and her carrying potential is crazy good. And then we have Bonnie. So Bonnie is obviously one of the most well-rounded unit. She's able to fit into multiple teams. Tasi Bonnie Comms, Tasi Bonnie Talin, Graveborn teams, Bonnie-Shemira, Bonnie with a whole bunch of magical damage dealers for the damage amplification. So very well-rounded unit, and also insanely powerful even in the normal arena side. And then we have Lily-Mei. So Lily-Mei is still one of the strongest like wildest single target unit in the game right now, being able to cancel ultimates of the opponent's unit and being insanely elusive with the ability to build up damage over time based on how many kills she's able to net. So yeah, this unit is still insanely strong. Obviously, I don't think she's as strong as she used to be, because there's a lot more like super elusive units, like for example Tasi, right? Units like Cyran, which shuts down your ultimate and then just bursts you from there. So she's not, I'll say, exactly the strongest strong, but I think she's strong enough to be considered meta, because she still counters Eironn. So if you don't have her, then you might have some issues to deal with Eironn teams in general, or just like burst teams that relies on their ultimate. So she's like the cheaper option over Dunlia for this sort of situation. So that's for Lily-Mei. And then we have Cyran. Cyran's obviously one of the strongest PvP characters around, being able to silence your opponent's artifact, good on both the offense and the defense, and having, I'll say, like pretty massive AoE coverage with decent damage over time. So yeah, pretty powerful unit, goes pretty well in a lot of teams as well. And then we have the latest carry in the game, Shemira. So Shemira is a unit which, if she unleashes the ultimate, she can't even beat Coronaya in a 1v1. She's able to just carry you the game. So the idea is to build a team around her, and we will talk about some teams that you can build around her with regards to the different team ideas that we have later. So that's for Shemira, probably one of the latest unit that most people should be building up, because she's really good in the current meta. Next one, we have the supports. So these are some of the best supports in the PvP meta right now. Damien, I don't think needs too much of an introduction, right? The ability to come back to life, being a wilder, being able to heal, being able to disable, as well as just synergize with the undead meta of Tasi, for example, is just incredible. And then we have Hugin, very good shielder, very good damage reduction unit, and one of the units which I think really fits super well with Cyran in general, because they're both light bearers, and then like you can put Cyran behind Hugin, and then your Cyran's range is so long that like she will stay behind Hugin, and that's where like the buff of the mechanized bond go through, and then you have all this massive shielding, damage reduction with control immunity from Hugin. So pretty good stuff. Hugin, one of the most powerful healers in the game. Like I think her healing is a lot better if she gets her ultimate off compared to Ludovic. So both of them, they are amazing healers, by the way. They're good in their own rights. Like Ludovic is good for that initial burst heal, and also obviously like heals across the board, like over the game. But once Hugin gets her ultimate off with the EX weapon itself, the massive damage reduction basically wins you the game. Like that's just how powerful Hugin's ultimate is. Like if you sort of like don't finish off Hugin teams fast enough, and she gets her ultimate off, and then the opponent team kills you as she's channeling her ultimate, because you can't control her when she's in her ultimate, and this is where you might just lose from that ultimate casting from Hugin. So definitely one of the strongest healer in the PvP side, even till today. So even in normal arena, I think she's still very feasible here. And then we have obviously Twins. So Twins is obviously one of the strongest unit if they are able to get off their ultimate as well, because like the massive stats buff, the control immunity, as well as the haste buff, the more skills your unit casts over time, makes this unit really good, right? So there are a few units which are ultimate reliant. So from all these different ultimate reliant units, you have the likes of Lily May being really good, being able to counter all these ultimate reliant teams, right? It forces your unit to sort of plan around Lily May, play around her, so that you are able to get off the skills of your critical unit. So that's why Lily May to a certain extent might not be as strong as she used to be, but I still think she's definitely meta in terms of team building as well as team countering. So that's for Lily May as well as the supports. Now last one, we have the meta frontliners. So these are like units which usually runs to the front line and wants to soak up damage, and they are generally slightly tankier compared to the other units. So usually you will have a frontliner in your team, but there are certain teams in the meta that doesn't run any frontliners right now. So we will talk about that as well. So for the frontliners, Eironn-Ulmus, they are basically a pair. Best of the, like, they are the best controlled like frontliners. If your Eiron's able to get off the ultimate with your Ulmus with the EX weapon for the insta route, so these two goes hand in hand. Torrent's still one of the strongest, I'll say, like melee, anti-melee frontliner, being able to absorb a lot of damage and then retaliate. But I think Eironn used to be insanely powerful, because like in a situation where if you, for example, go use Torrent against like Lily May, use Torrent against like, for example, your Bonnie, right, or Shemira, for example, you soak up a lot of damage and then you just retaliate with the ultimate, you kill them off, they don't come back to life. But with Tasi, with Talon, with Damien running around, they are very elusive, one, so your Torrent needs to move around to catch them, and two, even if you kill them, they'll just come back to life, and then like your Torrent soaking so much damage will cause them to die. So that's why like Torrent fell off a little bit. But I do think that if let's say your team permits and you don't have a better tank, Torrent's still one of the better choices out there. Then we have Fresto, obviously, one of the most versatile tank all around, insanely good for the stat bonus as well as the energy regen and the damage reduction on 2 units, and also just being very beefy for frontliner. So that's for Fresto. And last but not least, Callan. So Callan's actually insanely good if your team needs some sort of initial damage soaking, and then if your team is able to survive, Callan's able to cast the ultimate again, he will be a really good like damage sponge for the whole team, right? So you kind of want to build a team that wants to probably, I'll say, burst the opponent down, and then for your side you use Callan as your damage soaker at the start. So that's how I see Callan being used. So if you take a look at this, right, you have Torrent and Callan. So depending on like which of this Gravebond you choose for your wish list, or which of this Gravebond you are luckier on your wish list itself, you might want to decide which frontliners you want to use. But in most cases, Eironn-Ulmus, they are like pretty much recommended for most free-to-play or new players. And then Fresto, like I mentioned before, right, if you want to focus on the Celestial Hypogean, Twins is insanely good for all contents, but Fresto is more stats dependent, so depending on which one you want to focus on, you might want to build up the respective Celestial Hypogean based on your own needs. So that's for the meta units in general. So for the different teams, let's start off with one of the strong teams from like the start of season 2 now, which is Tasi and Bonnie-Com. So Tasi Bonnie-Com is insanely powerful because like Tasi is able to deal massive AoE damage, Bonnie is able to debuff, buff up magical damage, deal massive AoE damage as well, and also pretty elusive. And for this team itself, you will probably only need either one Celestial Hypogean, be it Tailin or Fresto. So I chose Fresto because like in most cases, I think having a frontliner is more stable defensively. You can definitely run your Tailin together with Tasi because Tailin is able to sort of provide for that additional revive for your Tasi if you have your Tailin built up. So that's the substitute, right? For Fresto, you can put in a Tailin, okay? But with regards to Tailin and Tasi combo, in the Supreme Arena side, is insanely powerful because of the Thunderstrike artifact, but in the normal arena side, Tailin and Tasi is still pretty weak to your Tasi being bursted down. So like, yeah, like if your Tasi gets bursted down before she's able to proc her Fluttering Dreams or anything, yeah, your Tasi will just not be able to tank for you. So some teams or some players will run their Tasi as the frontliner, but let's say if you're equally statted and your opponent has the unit to burst down Tasi, I honestly don't recommend that, and that's why I'll put Fresto over Tailin for this team. So this way you still have your Tasi Bonnie combo and you still have your Lily May for the coverage. You can also take out Lily May and put in Tailin if you do have the Tailin built up together with Fresto. So that's like the two Celestial Hypogean units that you can sort of put in the team. And then we have obviously Damien, keep on coming back to life, keep on healing, providing the haste with a little bit of disruption throughout the battle. So this team plays a little bit of a store with the sufficient burst damage and tick damage from Tailin or even Bonnie and Tasi. So this is how this team works. Very first one. Okay, so next one, we have the Eironn-Ulmus-Burst together with the Shemira edition. So Eironn-Ulmus-Burst I think is a lot weaker in the current meta, but with the inclusion of Shemira, this team is, I'll say, upgraded, because Shemira can single-handedly carry you the game if she's able to get off her ultimate, and Eironn-Ulmus provides for the control that the teams lack. And if let's say you have like slot to replace Niru, you can put in Damien for additional sustain. Niru is actually really good as a sustain unit as well, but obviously not as good as Damien. But we chose to put Niru in the team recommendation because we are assuming if your opponent has a Lily Maid, right, to counter your Eironn-Ulmus combo, Niru will be able to prevent that. So that's why Niru is in a team. You need Niru with the EX weapon for the instant ultimate cast, so your Niru can be the Lily May bait for your Eironn-Ulmus combo to go through. So Arden is included in the team because Arden provides additional control, provides the AoE, provides the factional bonus, and also the additional damage, right, for you to burst down the enemy. So Arden can also be replaced with Damien. Let's say if you feel that, hey, I don't actually want to rely on Arden for damage, I want to build up Damien instead, right? Arden is not as strong as he used to be, but within this Eironn-Ulmus combo itself, still a really potent threat. So that's for the Arden edition. Additionally, both Arden as well as Damien, they are obtainable from the Dream Realm store, so pretty, I'll say, like free-to-play friendly. And these are probably the units that you're going to buy with your Dream Realm shards. So that's for the Arden A-level characters in general. So Ulmus is obtainable from a seasonal store and a wishlist. Eironn only from the gacha system or the wishlist, and Shemira from the current gacha and future wishlist in general. So Shemira will appear in the seasonal store, but it will be pretty late in the next season because, yeah, like the previous tradition, the latest unit of the previous season usually comes at the end of the next season. So that's for Shemira with the upgraded Eironn-Ulmus combo or the Eironn-Ulmus team. Now next one we have Cyran Core. Oh, by the way, for this team, there's a few substitutes, right? So just now earlier we mentioned that for Lily May, you can replace Lily May with Tailin, you can replace Fresto with Tailin, and then you can obviously put in a healer like Hewin if you feel that you need more sustain, or if you have Hewin built up. But in general, I wouldn't take out Fresto because like if your Tasi gets bursted down and you try to use Tasi as a frontliner, it's not the best choice because Tasi is actually much stronger the longer she stays on the battlefield. So like generally speaking, I will actually run the frontliners with her. So that's for the Tasi edition and a team build. And then for this one, if you don't have Shemira built up, but if you have like Elsa built up or Odie built up, I think those are decent additions into the team. So Odie has the Insta-Q ability, Odie has pretty good single target, and then Elsa has additional control, and also burst, right, at the start of battle if your Eironn-Ulmus combo goes through. So these are the few additions. I think for this slot, it's relatively flexible. You can even use Lily May, right, to cancel your opponent's ultimate. You can also use Bonnie, right, to give you additional magical damage amp. So these are the different choices. But I chose Shemira because, like, this team basically runs off the Eironn-Ulmus Ardent Core. But if your Shemira gets out the ultimate, Shemira can just carry you from there. So that's the idea. Then for this one, we have the Cyran core team. So one thing that you guys will realize is I don't actually recommend the Mauler cores in today's meta, because like right now I think Odie-Koko, they are not exactly bad PvP units, but they are just not the strongest. So obviously I can recommend you, right, using the Koko Odie team. I guess I'll just put them later on, right, in the last team itself. But just a disclaimer, I think Maulers this season for normal arena, not exactly the strongest, because they didn't get the best unit. So that's for the lack of Mauler representation in today's video. But next one, we have Cyran with Hugin and Cyran as the core. Hugin's one of the most powerful offensive buff support in the game, honestly speaking, over Damien. I think Hugin is a lot stronger because Hugin's shielding has control immunity, has stats buff, and also just having, I'll say, like that initial energy to bait out certain stuff for your other units. So this team's strength lies in your Cyran silencing the opponent and then having the rest of your units to accelerate towards the skill spam of your whole team. So we have Twins. Once Twins starts to spam their ultimate, you just get like this massive control immunity. Hugin spams the shielding, Ludovic spams the healing. This team is unkillable, and then you just like use your Cyran ultimate to pull the enemy and then just kill them from there. So that's the idea of this team, and it is able to work because of Cyran, right, being a really powerful PvP character that slows down your opponent. So for this one, Twins, Stargaze, as well as your good store. Cyran, Callan, you get them from the gacha and the wishlist. Cyran is I think Cyran is earlier than Callan. I can't remember who came first. So they will also drop on a wishlist next season. And I think Cyran will stick around. For Callan's case, if you don't have Callan, you can use Torrent. If you have Fresto, you can use Fresto as well. So whatever has more stats for you, use them as your main unit for PvP. So Callan will be able to absorb the damage to prevent the sniping on your supports or even on your Cyran in the team. So that's the reason for putting your Callan in the team itself. And then we have Ludovic and Hugin, which are already available in the seasonal store. So this is for the Cyran core. Then next we have Athalia core. So this one, the reason why I put Danlia in this setup is because Danlia with Athalia is insanely powerful, because Danlia silences the usage of ultimate, right? This team is not that ultimate reliant if you take a look at this like Athalia core team, because Athalia doesn't rely on her ultimate for the steamroll. She relies on her second skill with combination of her EX weapon, as obviously all the different stat stacking that she gets from her skill itself. So Athalia is able to snap off the opponent much faster with Bonnie's decay switch, and this will allow Bonnie's decay switch to spread to the other enemies, and then your Athalia will just be sniping the whole team from your opponent's side really quickly. Then we have like the likes of Ludovic for additional heals. You can use Damien as well. Very, very annoying. Keeps on coming back, and then he's like, oh, I kill Athalia, she's still alive, right? I kill Tasi, she stays on the spot and then she comes back to life, and then you kill Damien resummons the card. So it's like you get this like Tasi, Damien, Undead combo with Athalia being able to just carry the team from there with additional DPS from Bonnie, and also just additional frontlining power from Dan, and also the ultimate silence. So Dan is not a unit which I think free-to-play players will build up in most cases. So this is where you can use Torrent, and then you can link Athalia to Torrent, right? So that your Athalia has a little bit more protection because your Torrent is able to absorb damage, or right, you can also use Callan, so put Callan in front, absorb some damage at the start. So you can see the Graveborn factional bonus together with Athalia for this Athalia core build. So this is for the Athalia core strategy. Next one, we have this is actually technically the Wildest team, not Bonnie team, oops. So for this Wildest team, we just run like some of the best wilders in the current meta. So Hugin, Damien, Tasi, Lily May, and then you just slot them with Fresto. Good to go. Still really useful. Like I mentioned before, if Hugin gets off the ultimate, together with your Tasi and Lily May being able to carry the team, you can just win the battle from there. So that's just how good or how solid the wilders are in general, even in the current meta. So these are the top few free-to-play friendly teams that you guys can use with only one Celestial Hypogean unit option. Okay, so I did a last minute addition which features like really budget friendly units in the form of Koko and Odie, because these two units, they are the best free-to-play PvE centric while usable in PvP unit, although they're not the best in the current meta. But if you fit them with some of the really strong meta core units for PvP, I think your team should still be able to work. So right here we have Ludovic with your Bonnie, with Odie, as well as Koko. So Koko behind Energy Fresto to get her ultimate as soon as possible. Odie behind damage reduction Fresto such that he takes less damage and survive better, and then start to insta-kill with the insta-kill mechanics. So that's the idea of this comp. So Ludovic will provide for the heal, Bonnie will provide for the additional DPS with the debuff onto the enemy to slow down their damage output, and then Koko plus Ludovic should be able to keep the team alive provided Koko's able to get the ultimate. So yeah, this is probably one of the very free to play friendly unit, because like yeah, teams around, because like you have Odie and Koko, which I'll say most beginners should actually go for them. So that's it for this video, just a simple introduction of the top 5 plus 1 best meta teams for free to play players to use, and I'll see you guys again in my next video. Bye guys.